We are here to celebrate the wonderful people, places, projects, and things happening in Appalachia, Ohio, and it is my distinct honor to introduce Senator Schaefer to start the event today. We're always grateful to have all of you joining us. This luncheon is put on in joint partnership between Ohio's Hill Country Heritage Area and Heritage Ohio. We're grateful to AEP Ohio for their continued support and for all that they do to help make this event such a success. So without further ado, please help me welcome Senator Schaefer, and let's get this started.
Wow, thank you so much. Welcome to the 13th Annual Appalachia Heritage Luncheon. And Matt, thank you so much. You're doing a great job in running not only this event, but the organization as a whole. It's been a real honor to be able to welcome everyone to this ceremony for the last 13 years. It's hard to believe, but wow, what great progress we've made in 13 years, and what great programs we've had here at the Ohio Statehouse Atrium. I'm glad to see this event grow every year. And I'm glad to see some new and familiar faces from the Ohio General Assembly here today. This has always been a very popular event for the legislature as we celebrate our community leaders' successes. So make sure you find some members of the legislature and say hi and say thank you, too, for their commitment and dedication to Appalachia initiatives. However, unfortunately, we are missing one of Appalachia, Ohio's greatest advocates, and one of the greatest advocates I've seen in my lifetime, if not the greatest, Somerset Mayor Tom Johnson. As most of you know, we lost Mayor Johnson in an auto accident October 31st. And his loss leaves a massive void in our advocacy and strategic direction for Appalachia, Ohio. So if you would, please join me in honoring Mayor Tom Johnson with a moment of prayerful silence. Thank you. Ohio's Hill Country Heritage Area was founded in the late 1990s as a program of the Ohio Arts Council. And the organization's mission is to promote heritage activities throughout the Appalachian region and to provide networking opportunities for individuals, organizations, and communities all interested in the preservation and sustainable development of the historical, cultural, recreational, and economic resources of the region. Heritage Ohio co-hosts this event, and their mission statement is to help people to save the places that matter, build community, and live better. Congratulations to Ohio's Appalachia Country. This year, 9 individuals and organizations will be honored for their contributions and impact on not only their region, but all of Ohio as a whole. And it's my pleasure this year, again, to introduce Tom O'Grady from the Ohio Hill Country Heritage Area. Tom.
Senator Schaefer, legislators, Governor's Office of Appalachia, and friends, on behalf of Ohio's Hill Country Heritage Area and the Heritage Ohio organization, welcome to the 13th Annual Appalachian Heritage Awards Luncheon. I want to thank Nancy Ritchie and Bob Leversage for their leading the tours of this magnificent State House this morning. And every year I want to thank Bob Leversage and his team for the remarkable restoration work for of the State House and the authentic adaptation and reuse of this space here so that to facilitate public use of this temple of government, one of the finest examples of architecture in Ohio. Thank you also to Matt Wiederhold and Heritage Ohio for facilitating this important event for Ohio's Hill Country Heritage Area. And thanks to Joyce Barrett for her unwavering support and guidance and her behind-the-scenes magic. Thank you all for coming to this remarkable State House today for this celebration of the rich heritage of Appalachian Ohio, the region where Ohio began. It's not only a remarkably beautiful part of Ohio, it is where Native Americans concentrated the majority of their monumental earthworks, now recognized as World Heritage Sites that they always have been. It is where the Fort Gower Resolves, an early Declaration of Independence, proclaimed on the banks of the Hockhocking and Ohio rivers in November of 1774, helped inspire the much better known pronouncement issued by Thomas Jefferson 18 months later. It's where Ohio's first settlement at Marietta was the opening of the West in 1788. It's where the rectangular survey system created by the Land Ordinance of 1787 that measured and charted the bulk of the American countryside began in Ohio's hill country along the Ohio River in Columbiana County. Early Ohio governors, statesmen, soldiers, educators, writers, artists, inventors, industrialists were raised on the soils of Ohio's hilly regions. The giant painting on the other side of this wall on the staircase, the signing of the Greenville Treaty in 1795, is an example of this. It's the work of Howard Chandler Christie from Morgan County. That painting has been featured in nearly every Ohio history book since World War II. His even more famous painting, the signing of the Constitution of the United States, has been hanging in the U.S. Capitol for our entire lifetime. And it's one of the most famous depictions of the early days of the United States and has been commonly featured in American history textbooks across the nation for more than 75 years. We have all seen it. Pulitzer Prize-winning author David McCullough came to Ohio's hilly country a few years back to write his final book, published in 2019, and he told us this place is important. He observed that while many nations around the world, in time, abolished the institution of slavery, Ohio's hilly country is the first place in the history of the world where a new society was established with the prohibition of slavery as a basic tenet of its existence. There is a lot for Appalachian Ohioans to be proud of. But it's not only the many firsts and the great heritage of Ohio's past that is so remarkable. It's the many people across Appalachian Ohio that still go out each and every day and do remarkable things that are preserving and sharing that rich heritage. Many go out each day and still strive to create heritage worth preserving. And that's why we're here today in Ohio Statehouse, recognizing the work of a few of these many industrious and inspired people. And why do we think this is important? Our history and the work of building our towns and the buildings and infrastructure associated with government, industry, education, transportation, housing, religion, and other aspects of our society are the things that create our identity as individuals and communities. They are the things that tell us who we are and from where we have come. In the years we've been conducting these Appalachian Heritage Awards luncheons, we have come to see how much the history of Appalachian Ohio is indeed American history, and in many cases, world history. And if not for the individuals and organizations writing grants and conducting fundraisers to do this work of creating and preserving this rich heritage, much of it would not be here. Preserving heritage is being done largely by citizens and small not-for-profit organizations. It is generally not being done by government or the private sector, yet it is crucial work that must be done by society, and these individuals and groups step up to do it. History is the foundation for strong and vibrant communities. As you all know, but many still seem unaware, historic buildings are community assets and society's wealth. Buildings connect members of the community and hold that connection over time. They are part of the common experience and memory of the community and help form the identity of all who live and work there and grow up around them. When we lose a historic building or a place, we each lose a part of ourselves. History is a catalyst for economic improvement. Towns and communities with a strong sense of historical character attract talent and increase visitor revenues. They enhance business development and fortify the local economy. Making the past an integral part of the future is good for business and good for family and community development. Our past helps us envision our future, a better future, one that encourages individuals and groups to convene and express opinions and ideas and listen to each other. Knowing our history inspires each of us, and it inspires leaders and provides us all with role models as we navigate the complexities of modern life. Stories of the past can help provide direction regarding issues and challenges of the present and help clarify values and ideals. History saved and preserved is the foundation for future generations. Historical knowledge is crucial to preserving democracy and the things we hold dear. Preserving authentic documents, artifacts, images, places, buildings, and stories helps give future generations a foundation on which to build and gives them an awareness of what it means to be a member of a civic community. Otherwise, they are destined to become members of a landscape of sprawl and short-term disposable places. Preservation of our histories and the reinforcement of the models of behavior that have created our valued heritage gives future generations a grounding in what it means to be an American. Every old part of the country is filled with memorials of our past: tombstones, cottages, churches, names and legends, old roads and trails, abandoned mines and factories, tunnels, bridges, and towpaths, as well as the things we built and used yesterday. All of these historic assets bring us closer to the past, and in doing so, they bring us closer to our own present. For we are living history as well as recording it. It would be well if the history we were living and creating were also creating a history or a heritage worth preserving. Too often, historic preservation in America seems to be a battle, indeed, when it should be a celebration. Preserving the stories of our nation, our communities, and ourselves, the character of our towns, and our sense of place should be a joy rather than a fight. Yet there always seems to be money available for demolition of these historic assets and the few jobs it creates to destroy our heritage, but rarely the funds to preserve it and create the skilled workforce needed by our society for long-term, stable economic improvement of our communities. When preservation battles have occasionally been won, we applaud such achievements and beat pathways for visitors to come and experience these magnificent places of which we are now so pleased. We have never regretted anything we have preserved. Historic preservation is about showing gratitude for those who preceded us, and it's about protecting their work and protecting their stories. And it is about creating heritage that will be worth preserving tomorrow. And so, we are here today to show gratitude to a very few of the many who are working to preserve the rich natural and cultural heritage with which we have been blessed, and to recognize those striving to create heritage which future generations will strive to protect as well. So thank you all for coming here today to help us show a small bit of that gratitude. And I'd like to introduce Marky Dennis. Oh, there she is, right here from AEP. Thanks, Marky.
All right, well, thank you, and I'm so proud to be here on behalf of AEP Ohio. I'd like to shout out the AEP team and my colleagues who are joining us today, and many of those who work, live, and serve in the Appalachian communities that are being celebrated today. As a native of Scioto County, I am probably a little biased, but this is one of my favorite events that AEP partners with each year, and I look forward to this event every year. So I just want to say thank you to Matt Wiederhold and Heritage Ohio and Ohio's Hill Country Heritage area for your work on this event. I know it's something that starts at the beginning of the year, and for preserving the legacy of Appalachia for years to come, and for allowing AEP Ohio to partner with this event. Thank you all.
All right, so our honorees, we're going to change things up on you a little bit this year. I know Steve is all aghast. Okay, when you come up to receive your award, your you will be announced up here and your story shared. Please come up to the stage from this side, the Christmas tree side. Come up and give your success story, and then exit the stage on this side, and we'll give you your plaque and get a photograph in front of the screen, okay? And if you forget that, it's all cool. We're here to have fun and celebrate. All right, would you please put your hands together and help me welcome Senator Chavez to the stage to do the first introduction.
Nothing like going first and hopefully not screwing it up, right? So this is actually the second time I'm trying to use these bifocals, so we'll see how this goes for me. But it's my privilege to introduce Invisible Ground. Based in Athens, Ohio, Invisible Ground is a multimedia project utilizing audio, augmented reality, visual elements, and place-based storytelling to engage the people in the history of their communities. Invisible Ground and Southeast Ohio History Center are collaborating on a series of 9 immersive historic markers in Athens County, Ohio. The project focuses on diverse and rich history of the region, with an emphasis on history of Black, Indigenous, people of color communities, labor history, and the stories of everyday people, places, and events of Southeast Ohio. The accompanying Invisible Ground podcast allows these stories a spotlight through the engaging documentary storytelling format. The markers are a perfect partner to the podcast, providing an immersive opportunity to experience history through augmented reality and place-based audio storytelling. So congratulations, Invisible Ground.
I'll give the disclaimer that while microphones make me feel comfortable, I usually am not staring at so many people while I'm doing my recording. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thanks to Ohio Hill Country Heritage Area, Heritage Ohio, AEP, and all of you who are involved with this. I know how you feel about going first and not screwing it up, so I'm going to try to do that myself here. I want to talk a bit about how Appalachia and this region and all of its people and organizations have impacted me and helped create this project. I was born in Lorain, Ohio, so I am not an Appalachian native, in case my last name didn't let you know that. And Lorain's a place that shaped me greatly, too. But I was born into a family that stressed the importance of history and community and service and education, and how all of those things tied into place. I came to Athens in the fall of 2001 as a freshman, and for those of you that are Bobcats or have lived in Athens at any point, I often make the joke that I definitely forgot to leave after that. Still forgetting to leave every day. But it was right away that I fell in love with Appalachian Ohio, and that just grew over many, many years. But the reasons why is because this is the place where I found my creative voice. I found it in those communities, and not just Athens or Athens County, but all throughout Southeast Ohio. My time at OU, but also my time 12 years working at Stewart's Opera House in Nelsonville, Ohio, and then going back to Ohio University again, which is my other Athens joke, right? That if you're there long enough, you eventually go back to school and get another degree. I got an MFA some years back, and my thesis project was actually the first marker for Invisible Ground. All of those things are connected to my stories of discovery and my appreciation for region, its people, and these stories. Invisible Ground was designed at its core to always be something that was useful to those communities that I loved. And it's so great to look around and see so many people that I've collaborated with and so many more who I hope to at some point. But that was because I wanted to bring people into those places that I loved and share those stories and talk about those people and all the incredible work that they were doing. And do what I could in a small way to lift those stories up and push them out there. But it's really those people and places that are at the core of that. And part of that, too, is, as was mentioned in the introduction, is showing the incredible diverse history of our region, too. We live in an incredibly rich and diverse part of our state, and the history echoes the same. Making history visible on the landscape and combining community place-based storytelling with media and technology and art and education have created a powerful project, but I kind of just see myself as the conductor of that a lot. And so while I'm up here getting an award, I was very happy to see that it was for at least for the organization and not just for me. I see myself as sort of the guide of that. I'll just say quickly too that Invisible Ground exists, again, for and as part of the community, and that's been the goal the whole time. So I want to thank a few specific people, and I won't thank everybody, obviously, but specifically places like the Southeast Ohio History Center, the Mount Zion Black Cultural Center, Taylortown People of Color Museum, Little Cities of Black Diamonds, Stewart's Opera House. All of these places have been so incredible and supportive of this work. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they're many of the same places that are listed as previous award winners too. For me, it's a chance to make work that's important because of everyone involved, and that's what makes it exciting for me. I hope I can continue to do this kind of stuff for a really long time in Appalachian, Ohio. And in closing, I just want to thank, besides all of you and everyone involved with these, this luncheon and these awards, I specifically want to thank my wife, Sherry Oliver. Hey, look at that, Steve. Thanks. Good job. As well as my parents and family, and Jessica Siders, Tom, everyone at the Southeast Ohio History Center. They've not only been a fiscal agent through this process, but an exhibition partner, and have, you know, sort of given me not only guidance, but I think a lot of support too. I also want to thank, of course, all my collaborators, as I mentioned, and I also want to give a huge thanks to Sarah Arnold, who nominated me for this award. I've known Sarah for a long time from my days at Stewart's and the festival, and I feel like we've kind of grown up in Appalachian, Ohio a bit together. Thank you. I'm humbled and honored to be here, and especially with this list of other nominees as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm back. So it was a pleasure watching a true professional. He was right up on that microphone, and he was modulating his voice, and it was very interesting. So I'll try to learn a little bit from that. So it's my pleasure to introduce Steve Zarate, who began playing acoustic guitar and harmonica and writing songs in 1976 at the age of 15, emulating summer camp counselors in Columbus, Ohio. Inspired by watching them play and sing around summer evening campfires, he taught himself as a teen to play favorite songs on the guitar. He's since learned and performed music by hundreds of other artists, while also writing nearly 300 original songs, including A Wonderful Place to Go, a lovely song written to celebrate the Athens Farmers Market's 50th anniversary. While earning degrees in telecommunications, political science, and journalism from The Ohio University between 1978 and 1991, Steve grew to cherish Athens and the surrounding countryside. In early 1992, he released 18 original songs on a cassette called Athens Solstice. So did you start with records and 8 tracks? Okay, so you just jumped right into the big leagues, right? Right straight to cassettes. He's since put out 4 CDs, so he's progressing. And most recently, 2019's Patchwork of Light, and in 2003, nationally known vocal trio, The Local Girls, included the Steve's song, Jewel of the Hawking, on a multi-artist musical celebration of Athens and Ohio University called 4-Year Heaven. Performing professionally throughout Southeast Ohio since 2006, he has entertained at dozens of events and venues, gaining a reputation as a talented musician and request specialist with a vast repertoire. Congratulations, Steve. And I just have to add that my office is adjacent to the atrium here, so for the last hour and a half, my meetings have had a very nice background music by Steve.
Thank you. Thank you, and thanks everybody. Thanks for being here. and to Heritage Ohio and the OHCHA and Tom and Tim and Matt for this great honor and for having me play music these past 4 luncheons. I believe what you do is really important, so this means a lot to me. I'd like to invite folks to check out my original songs at stevezerati.com and on YouTube. It's my one chance to let you know they're out there. I hope you check them out. I've often written songs about wonderful parts of Southeast Ohio, and A Wonderful Place to Go, the song he mentioned, is one of those. Most Saturday mornings I play music at the Athens Farmers Market. And 3 Decembers ago, the market's manager, Tanya Heyer, who we have with us today, sitting right over here, thank goodness, asked me to write a song for their upcoming anniversary year. And I wrote this one that winter, and I'm glad people like it because farmers markets are really important in so many ways, and they deserve to be celebrated and cherished. So now we have a song for that. And it goes like this. I'm going to use my time just to sing it to you real quick. It also, by the way, there's a great new video that some OU students have made for this, going up on YouTube real soon. It goes like this. I'm going to get up early and take myself down to that parking lot where the vendors set up near the malls and the early birds come to shop. In the open air for the produce there from the people who make it grow. Down to the farmer's market, what a wonderful place to go. The sun comes up in beautiful Athens, Ohio, and farmers come into town, bringing folks fresh, delicious food from fertile fields. They've been doing this half a century, and they're not slowing down. Along this mission of nutrition, Mother Nature's harvest yields. A few visionary folks saw a need for this in 1972. On a summer's day in a city park, 3 farmers tried it. And then more showed up, and soon word got out that this market was something new. For 50 years, well worth supporting, this community's decided. And even when it's freezing cold, the people come, the goods get sold. In falling snow, in pouring rain, they set their stalls up just the same. Boom. We're gonna find fruits and veggies, beans and grains, cheeses, meats and berries, herbs and honey, colorful yarns and candles too. And we could fill up all of our canvas bags with homegrown necessaries while local half-awake musicians play sweet songs for me and you. I'm gonna get up early and head on down to that parking lot where the vendors set up near the malls and the early birds love to stop and shop in the open air for the produce there from the people who make it grow. Down to the farmer's market, what a wonderful place to go. Down to the farmer's market, such a wonderful place to go. Thank you all. I appreciate you very much. Have a good one. Thank you.
All right, I learned a lot from that as well, but I am not going to be singing. So it's my pleasure to introduce the next recipient, the Blue Eagle Music Store. The Blue Eagle Music Store has been serving the Southeastern Ohio region from the same Athens location since 1971, when it was founded by Roger Johnson and Saul Chait. Is that right? Frank McDermott bought the business in 2006. Blue Eagle Music is a very unique music store located in a 140-year-old downtown building with 17-foot ceilings that puts Athens, Ohio on the map. Its authentic small business approach provides a musical connection and inspiration to people of all ages. While they are primarily a guitar store, they offer impressive selection of new and vintage instruments as well as music lessons and instrument repair. So good luck trying to teach me how to play or sing. According to customer Matt Box, Blue Eagle is not only one of the best stores of its kind that I've ever been to, it's also one of the longest running businesses in Athens. A fantastic selection of gear for musicians of all ages, abilities, and musical tastes. This place helped maintain the unique music scene of our wonderful little town. Congratulations to the Blue Eagle Music Store.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, it's an honor to accept this recognition for Blue Eagle Music. My name's Megan B., and I've been involved at the store the last 10 years, and I've had the pleasure to work for my boss, Frank McDermott, who, yes, he sent me here today because he is so dedicated to the store that he really does show up every single day, and he did not want to miss a day of work. We were asked to come and share our success story, and really ours is a story of survival. In the early 2000s, there were 4 music stores in Athens, and now Blue Eagle is the only one left. Retail margins and competition with the internet make it extremely hard for small local businesses to stay in business. And so Blue Eagle has pivoted. We started with a focus on guitars, and over the years, we've had to accommodate all kinds of music needs to fill our community since we're the only store left. So we carry a little of everything from percussion to band instruments, fiddles, ukulele, kazoos, you name it, plus offering music lessons and instrument repairs. Athens has a reputation as a real music and art scene down in Ohio, southern Ohio, and Blue Eagle's really an institution of the music community. We're located right in uptown Athens, and we're walkable from Ohio University, and I love when old OU alumni come back to Athens after 20, 30, 40 years, and they walk in that store and they say, wow, this place hasn't changed a bit. And there's this nostalgia. We're in this historic building, and we're the oldest business up on Court Street, and we might be the oldest business in Athens. We haven't verified that, but we're the oldest business uptown, and I think there's this nostalgia for anything that can withstand the test of time in such a fast-paced world that we live in. Besides working with customers who come into our store, we do a lot of outreach and support a lot of community projects that are bringing music into the area. And so we contribute to Federal Valley Resource Center, Stewart's Opera House, and the Athens Artist Memorial Project, who just this week came in and picked up 2 guitars for young teens who could otherwise not afford them for Christmas this year. From helping kids find their very first instrument, to watching a longtime collector find a rare vintage guitar they've been searching for, to helping a student fix a broken string right before their big concert, there's really nothing that will replace the relationships, connections, and realness of an actual music store. We've been serving our community for 50 years, and if people can make the choice to support a local store over the internet, and if our legislators at the state level can recognize the value of small businesses and what they bring to our culture, our economy, and our communities, then perhaps we might have a shot at 50 more. Thank you so much for this recognition, and here's to another 50 years of serving our community.
Now I'd like to introduce Representative Jones. Step right up. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's my honor and pleasure to introduce to you our next honoree, the Valley Gem Sternwheeler. 50 years ago, Captain James Jim Sands had a dream, and the river called his name, yearning for a life that allowed him to be with his family more. And tired of the construction life, Jim, along with his wife Peggy, risked everything to start the Valley Gem. The first Valley Gem began operation in 1973, carrying 98 passengers. As demand grew, they realized they needed a bigger boat. Jim spent 2 years of designing and redesigning the new Valley Gym, which took 18 months to build with the help of family members and local experts. In April of 1989, the new Valley Gym launched, accommodating 290 passengers. The Valley Gym has evolved significantly since its inception. Awnings, air conditioning, food service, brochures, websites, and ticketing have all been added or improved over the years, enhancing the experience for visitors from all over the tri-state area in this country. Jim's dream continues to live on today through his son, and they continue to contribute to tourism in Marietta and Southeastern Ohio. And as I chatted with them a little bit during lunch, they're expanding their services to hopefully starting here in mid-January and running the Valley Gym year-round, not just on a seasonal basis. So with that, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce Jason and Heather Sands for the Valley Gym Sternwheeler.
You're going to hear a little bit of repeat information, but it's part of our story, so we need to tell it a little bit in depth. My name is Captain Heather Sands. I'm here today with my husband, Captain Jason Sands, and our daughter, Zoe. Thank you for honoring us today. We very much appreciate it. The Valley Gym, along with the Major Riviera, which we put into service this year, is a genuine sternwheel boat that runs the Ohio Muskingum Rivers out of the city of Marietta. We bring around 30,000 visitors or guests, not all visitors, but guests to the boat each year. However, these boats are much more than that. They represent hard work, sacrifice, the realization of dreams, and a legacy that is highly respected. The Valley Gym began in 1973 with my father and mother-in-law, Jim and Peggy Sands. They took a big risk. Everything that they had was on the line to build the first Valley Gym, and they created a business from nothing. And fortunately for them and for us, it worked. My husband, Captain Jason Sands, grew up with this boat, quite literally. He was born the same year that they started. In 1988, when it became clear that the 98-passenger Valley Gym they were running wasn't big enough, Jim designed a new boat, which is the Valley Gym running today. Jason, who was 16 at the time, his brother Jimmy and Jim were part of a team of local tradesmen who worked on the construction. He says it was the hardest work he's ever done. Jason went on to college to study engineering because that was his dream. The family was not exempt from tragedy as they lost Jimmy at a young age, and in 1998, Captain Jim Sands passed away, and a choice had to be made, sell or keep going. Jason chose his family's legacy, and since he was already a captain and knew the boat very well, he jumped right in. Fast forward 26 years, and the business is almost unrecognizable from when it began. Jason likes to humbly say that he was handed a business, but I've been here for 14 years, and he has taken what was his father's dream and made it so much more. There have been improvements to the boat itself, additions of a full-service galley kitchen, new trips, a second vessel in service, and the list goes on. He is a captain, an engineer, a machinist, and a fixer of all things, and his family would be very proud of him. We have a tendency to push, or at least I do, I'm the pusher. We joke that my hands are always on his back. I'm competitive by nature, and I always say my biggest competition is the year before, and that's what I'm doing right now. But we push through goals and projects, and then we are on to the next, and we have a bad habit of not celebrating. But as I reflect on the past few years and all that has been accomplished, as I had to write this, I'm very proud. I'm proud of the boats, I'm proud of our crew, and our family and my husband. This past May, the Major, which is an historic sternwheel towboat, and the Riviera, which is a passenger barge, received all of its certifications and is now in service as a two-vessel combination unit. That was a 15-year dream come to life. We didn't really take the time to celebrate because we finished it in May and our season was already started, and so we pushed to the next thing. Our season is still going. We have a week this week that looks a lot like summer, not December. So we're very proud of that. And as was already alluded to, our public season used to start in May, but for 2025, we're starting January 17th. When we told some of the folks who knew Jim, they said, "It's about time." Jim would have loved that because one of his goals when he first started was to run the boat year-round. 51 years later, we are here. It's fitting that our daughter is here with us today because the Valley Gym is much more than a small business in Marietta. It's a family. Between the two of us, we have 3 children, and at some point, they have all worked at the Valley Gym. 2 still do as they continue their education. We are a family, and we are taking care of each other and a legacy of 2 brave and wonderful people who risked it all, along with a brave and wonderful son who decided it was worth saving. Thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to introduce Representative Jay Edwards.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. This is always one of my favorite events of the year. If you don't know, there's the Electoral College is going on in the Senate chamber. I think this is the busiest luncheon we've had here at the Statehouse. I had a meeting this morning with the governor to talk about some issues, and we were talking about how busy the Statehouse was today, and he said, yeah, it's a big deal. The Electoral College is going on in the Senate chamber, and I corrected him and said, that's not the reason it's a big day. It's a big day because the Appalachian Heritage Lunch is going on here in the atrium today, and he was very happy about that. So Joyce and Tom, if you haven't noticed, they don't trust these legislators very much, and they give us a pretty tight script we have to read, but I always tend to go a little bit off script, so I will here in a little bit. But it's my pleasure to introduce the Buffington Island Preservation Foundation. The Buffington Island Preservation Foundation was founded in 2008, is dedicated to the preservation and interpretation of the Buffington Island battlefield in Portland, Ohio. The Battle of Buffington Island, fought on July 19, 1863, was the most significant engagement in what officially called Morgan's Indiana-Ohio Raid. The foundation works to educate the public about Morgan's Great Raid in Ohio's largest Civil War battlefield. In 2022 and 2023, the foundation partnered with the American Battlefield Trust to purchase 118 acres of battlefield and represents the largest single piece of battlefield land preserved within the 1,230 acres identified by the American Battlefield Protection Program as core battlefield land. Continuing efforts will be made to preserve additional acres associated with the battlefield, as well as some of the remaining houses that served as headquarters and field hospitals associated with the historic event. The BIBPF is also partnered with the Meigs County Historical Society and of the Portland Community Center, which maintains the Buffington Island Battlefield Museum. If you're like me, I remember in school learning about John Hunt Morgan and the Morgan's Raid. And, you know, we always drive around and see those signs that are, you know, the Morgan's Raid signs on the side of the road. It wasn't until I went down to the first reenactment that it really opened my eyes to how significant this area was, how significant the historical preservation of this area was. It's pretty remarkable. I think we should make all our school-age children in Appalachia go and visit this and see the reenactment. It's pretty remarkable. If you've never been, please go. It's my pleasure to bring up, I think David Mowry. Is David Mowry here? No, David Mowry's not here. All right, it's my pleasure to bring up David Mowry's stand-in today with the Buffington Island Preservation Foundation. Awesome.
Yeah, David Mowry is unavailable today. He had to be out of town on business, so my name is Mark Lader, and it is my privilege and honor to represent the Buffington Island Battlefield Preservation Foundation. I am the current treasurer of the organization. I would like to thank Heritage Ohio for this honor and Tom O'Grady for his nomination. And some of the stuff you'll hear might be a little bit of a repeat, but we're going to add some stuff too. The Buffington Island Battlefield Preservation Foundation was founded in 2008. And it is dedicated to the preservation and interpretation of the battlefield in Portland, Ohio. The foundation works to educate the public about Ohio's largest Civil War battlefield and Confederate General John Hunt Morgan's Great Raid, as well as helping to maintain the preserved property. On July 19, 1863, a Union Army force of 3,000 cavalry, artillery, infantry, and naval forces routed a column of 1,800 Confederate cavalry and artillery, commanded by Brigadier General John Hunt Morgan, in a running 2-hour fight near Buffington Island. From July 13th through the 26th of 1863, Morgan had led a daring raid and a group of more than 2,000 men across southern and eastern Ohio. Buffington Island lies in the Ohio River, a half-mile downstream from the town of Portland, Ohio, and 3 miles upstream from Ravenswood, West Virginia. The battle was not fought on the island, but rather on the bottom land surrounding the village of Portland in Meigs County. One note of interest is the fact that 2 future U.S. presidents, Rutherford B. Hayes and William McKinley Jr., both from Ohio, were on the field of this battle. The Ohio History Connection currently maintains approximately 4 acres of the Battle of Buffington Island as a historical state park. And approximately 1,230 acres were identified as core battlefield land by the American Battlefield Protection Program. Nearly 500 acres of the 1,230 acres have already been developed or are slated for surface gravel and sand mining. During 2022 and 2023, the Buffington Island Battlefield Preservation Foundation partnered with the American Battlefield Trust, a national land heritage preservation organization. The trust was able to purchase 100 acres, but prior to purchasing this land, only 12 acres had been preserved. The remaining battlefield acreage, about 620 acres, remains similar in appearance as it did in 1863, and we hope that some of this land will be preserved in the future. The American Battlefield Trust preserves America's hallowed battleground land from the Civil War, the War of 1812, and the American Revolution. As the nation's leading heritage land preservation organization, ABT has saved more than 58,000 acres of battlefield land in 25 states, thanks to the support of their members and partners. Why preserve these battlefields? The Buffington Island Battlefield Preservation Foundation and our partners strive to save these hallowed grounds, as Abraham Lincoln referred to them in his Gettysburg Address, so that current and future generations may walk the land, learn what happened at these sites and why it matters. Battlefields are part of our national heritage, scenes of struggle and sacrifice where American soldiers lost their lives. We want to inspire an appreciation of history and recognize the sacrifices of these earlier generations. Thank you again for this recognition. I would also like to thank Senator Chavez for his appearance at our annual memorial service this year. Thank you very much.
All right, our next person being honored is Dirty Girl Coffee. Jane Cavarozzi is the owner of Dirty Girl Coffee, a small batch coffee roaster with a social mission to promote women's economic progress in Appalachia. Dirty Girl Coffee has invested in downtown Gloucester with the renovation of the historic building located at 82 High Street. They offer responsibly sourced coffees, including the largest selections of women-produced coffees, supporting pay equity in growing regions. Their mission is to chip away at those long-enduring barriers to economic progress and help women find their voice, their power, and to make the world a better place. She is also a founding member and president of the Gloucester Revitalization Organization, a founding board member and current board chair for the Ohio Women's Coalition, and a board member of the Athens County Foundation. In these roles, she is able to pursue her passion for women's economic progress. As president of the Gloucester Revitalization Organization, she is the project manager for the renovation of another historic building located at 106 High Street to create an indoor food market where local folks looking to start food business can incubate, as well as developing a pocket park for the community that will continue to help drive the downtown revitalization. I got to say, I met Jane early on in my political career. She is a firecracker. You don't meet with Jane unless you're ready to get stuff done. She is an amazing person that comes with a lot of energy. I guess she's drinking a lot of the Dirty Girl coffee before she meets with you. And it speaks volumes. You know, sometimes we have people in Appalachia, all the things we love. Sometimes when you get people from out of town that come in and they got big dreams and big visions, sometimes they aren't always welcomed, or sometimes there's a lot of questions that come involved with that. There isn't anybody I talk to in Athens County or in Gloucester, Ohio that doesn't love Jane, and we're so happy and appreciative that you and your partner Kara chose to come to Southeastern Ohio to live. So with that, I want to introduce Jane with Dirty Girl Coffee.
Hi. Wow. I'm not good at the microphone thing. I'm not a musician, and you don't want me to sing. But I just want to say how much I am honored to be at this luncheon. I've attended this luncheon many, many times, including the time when the Sam Jones Award was brought to light. So that's amazing. Sam is a key and inspiring piece of our community, and I would not be here at all without having taken a walk with Sam Jones in about maybe 2016-ish, 2017-ish, that kind of lit a fire under me. So thank you, Sam. But again, thank you all for being here. Thank you to this organization and everyone that makes this happen. This is such a great event. It's such a tool to be able to collaborate and communicate with folks that are fighting the same fight. No one does this work in a vacuum. I think that with Dirty Girl Coffee, we were kind of born out of a situation where I was on the verge of taking a year off from corporate life to enjoy the lake and have a good time and kick back and relax. And after observing some of the blight and challenges in our local community, started really thinking about that, obsessing about that a little bit. And within about 10 days, Dirty Girl Coffee was born. I had an interaction at a gas station in Gloucester with a young woman who was in need of resources that didn't exist in the town. I got on a plane, went to Portland, and wrote a business plan throughout the weekend at a friend's house in Portland at their kitchen table. So here we are, 9 years later. Dirty Girl Coffee has now renovated a building at 82 High Street in Gloucester, Ohio. It is literally our love letter to this town. The people of this town and the people of Athens County, a lot of the co-conspirators I see in this room, John Winenberg, his wife Cindy, Mary Jo. I mean, every single table has somebody that's really helped push these projects forward, from building a pocket park, which was Gloucester Revitalization Organization's first project. It was kind of a proof of concept that people would gather in Gloucester and that we could get things done as an organization, to now attacking a 9,000 square foot historic structure to create a shared workspace, to create a food venue in a food desert, and to give a community gathering venue, which doesn't exist. All in all, this project we're projecting will provide about $1.6 million of annual payroll revenue into Gloucester. That, and partnering with other organizations like Survivor Advocacy Outreach Program, who are renovating a couple other buildings in town. Gloucester's going to feel really different in about 2 to 3 years, and it's great work. Dirty Girl Coffee is really lucky to be located in this town. It's a low volume setting, so we don't depend necessarily on our coffee shop revenue. Our coffee shop is legitimately our love letter to the town and the people that deserve to have those assets in town and those small businesses in town. We rely heavily on our e-commerce business, So if you're Christmas shopping or sending packages out of state, please go to dirtygirlcoffee.com. Use the coupon code GoodFriend. I'll do my plug. That's my shameless plug. Jay Edwards was really integral in helping me actually become a founding board member of the Ohio Women's Coalition. I am fortunate to be the president of Gloucester Revitalization Organization, and I'm a board member on the Athens County Foundation. All of these relationships that intersect with our business are really important, and they serve a purpose. To promote women's economic progress in Appalachia, we found that we needed to have venues. So we had to get into the revitalization business. We had to promote women's economic progress, we needed to make sure that microenterprise was supported. Microenterprises are, by and large, run by women. Microenterprise is a very important element in small towns like Gloucester or Coolville or any other small town that you go to. There's going to be a microenterprise there, and it's probably going to be run by women. So getting access to capital and supporting those businesses are really important. So I was really grateful when Jay introduced me to our executive director at Ohio Women's Coalition, and I was able to join that board. It's really a wonderful tool. Athens County Foundation really helped a lot of our projects get started through funding engineering studies and small projects to help move them forward. So really, all of this work is kind of a death of a thousand wounds. I see a lot of people in this room with knives that have helped us kind of kill that beast, which is poverty. And so I want to thank everyone in this room for their hard work and their support and how we're all kind of pushing it forward. The person who said that they were very competitive and like to push, that's the personality that's needed. We love pushy people. So, but thank you all for coming here today. And thank you, Sam and Ellen. It's great to see you both. And that's it. Yeah.
All right. It is my honor to introduce Representative Johnson.
Well, howdy. Howdy. How y'all doing today? I can't believe a year's passed, and the last time I stood up here, we had an amazing group of Appalachian enterprises and businesses, and here we are again with even more. And you heard me say it, Appalachian. I hear a lot of debate about it's Appalachia or Appalachia. Well, I'm an actual Appalachian, so I say Appalachia. Doesn't mean it's right. I also say data instead of data. So, for what it's worth. I'd also like to note that we have Representative Justin Pazzulli here today at our table, and he's the representative of the 90th District. I'm the 14th District State Senator, and that goes all the way over to Claremont County, which is also in Appalachia. Today, we're honoring a wonderful group of folks from Scioto County. After participating in a local history event at Portsmouth High School in 2019, residents with collections of area historic items saw the need for a museum of Scioto County history. While Portsmouth has an art museum, a military museum, and a historic house museum, there was no repository for material pertaining to Scioto County history as a whole. The Scioto County Heritage Museum opened its doors in 2022 in a borrowed space in an unoccupied building owned by the city of Portsmouth. Later that year, the building was sold to a private business which no longer desired to host a museum. During the search for a new space, the Scioto County Heritage Museum was offered 2 historic buildings on adjacent properties in downtown Portsmouth free of charge. Scioto County Heritage Museum has pledged to restore the buildings and hold them in public trust as priceless examples of Portsmouth's heritage. In a short tenure, the Scioto County Heritage Museum has already brought awareness to area heritage through community partnerships. The museum engages in outreach activities like Heritage and Innovation Day in 2024 at the Main Street Portsmouth in Bloom Farmers Market. Though hours are limited during this first phase of building restoration, the Scioto County Heritage Museum is open for group appointments and encourages area students to explore their history and unique sense of place. A wonderful enterprise, and we're looking forward to seeing much greater things in the future. And we have Linda Donaldson representing the group today. If she'll come forward, please.
Congratulations. Oh, thank you, sir. I'm accustomed to neither microphones nor large crowds of people. I spend most of my time muttering under my breath at meetings, so I'm going to read a lot, most of mine, and there is a little duplication. I'm Linda Donaldson. I ended up becoming president of the board for Scioto County Heritage Museum because nobody else would do it. We had a board meeting one evening and the former president says, I'm not going to do it anymore. And there were about 8 of us sitting around and we looked at each other for 2 or 3 minutes. And I finally said, okay, I'll do it. And I've been doing it, at least as much as I can. So I begin by offering thanks from our group for this honor to Main Street or Heritage Ohio and Ohio Hill Country. We are really in Appalachia. It is splendid our labors have been noticed sufficiently to receive such recognition. I'd do better if I put my glasses on. Scioto County Heritage Museum was birthed after Sharon Bender, who is sitting back here, arranged with Portsmouth City Schools for a 3-day display of local history items by multiple collectors inside the county. We set up in the old gym of the high school, inviting classroom students and the public. It was both entertaining and gratifying to see reactions of young kids who did not know what a button hook was, or that Portsmouth had been flooded not only in 1937, but 4 times before that. After this event, several of us collectors met and determined to start a museum for their collections. We often say, my family doesn't want my collection and I don't want it sold on eBay. We landed in part of the former Marting's department store given to the city of Portsmouth, which sat empty for over a decade. We cleaned, painted, put a new ceiling, set up displays, and participated in local events, including with our Main Street organization. Suddenly, the building was sold, strangely enough. The new owner did not want us there. After a year or so of searching, we were given 2 dilapidated houses in Portsmouth's historic Bonyfield district. Again, we started over. We cleaned, and we're still cleaning and painting and working, and if we're lucky, one of our buildings will not fall down. We worked on the aged bricks. We moved and stored collections until we were ready for the public to visit again. And I'm ready to empty my house. I have part of my house, part of my garage, still full of parts of our collection. So someday Sharon and I are going to empty our houses and put all the collections in the museum. We have a footprint in the digital world, are working on setting up more. We're a bunch of old people, we don't know how to do this Facebook thing and TikTok and all this other stuff. We may be gifted more property around us for which we have a campus plan. 2 local architects are working with us, along with local history stories, advertising memorabilia and such. We have acquired unique items, such as a piano built in Portsmouth, or the state of Florida is restoring for us a crankshaft from a sternwheeler, which was built in Portsmouth and delivered mail between Portsmouth and Huntington. We have soaring ideas for our museum. We dream a lot. We have received monies from Portsmouth organizations who could grant or donate such. We can always use more money, who can't? Always working on that. We are working with Dr. Andrew Feit, a history professor at Shawnee State University, to start creating educational materials for use in local schools. The fact we are still going after 5 years gives us encouragement for the future. The death of founding father John McHenry this year struck us deeply, but has driven us to work harder. We invite anyone to come to Portsmouth to visit. We can arrange for visits any day or time. Sharon and I have time. Come when we are normally open, Sunday afternoons from 2 to 4, but don't come in January, February, or March. We probably won't be there. Most of the people sitting there on Sunday afternoons are Sharon and myself. Portsmouth and Scioto County have been the subject of much negative publicity for years, but as a native Portsmouthian, I see it recreating itself. Locals are putting their money and sweat into reviving buildings like the one we were initially in, creating new businesses, rising like a phoenix from the ashes, or in our case, more like the river mud. I offer the mission statement of Scioto County Heritage Museum in conclusion: remember Scioto County's past and carry it into the future. And thank you, and if you ever come to Portsmouth, we're down there. If the buildings don't fall down, we're down on the end of Market Street.
Oh, that was wonderful. Well, the Southeast, oh boy, easy for me to say. The Southeast Ohio YouTube film series produces and presents video features about stories and legends and music and the lore of Southeastern Ohio. Senator Johnson, otherwise known as Appalachian Ohio. So, that debate will go on forever. But Tales of Southeastern Ohio is a production of DNR Studio and Hometown Productions. The project was conceived by David Norris and Ron Mash, who play in a band together. And they started the film series a number of years ago and have worked with historical societies, heritage associations, individuals throughout a several county region of Appalachian Ohio to create a regional resource of information about coal mining, canals, the wreck of the USS Shenandoah, the brick industry, and local businesses and festivals throughout the region. The film series is self-funded, and Dave and Ron have purchased all of their own equipment and pay for all their own expenses to offer the videos free to the public. So congratulations to Dave and Ron and Tales of Southeastern Ohio.
Wow, this is surreal. Never dreamed. Yeah, Ron and I got together after following greatly different pathways, but we both had a music background, and through a mutual friend that I had played music with back in the 60s, the guy was playing in Ron's band. He got me involved to do some recording. That was the beginning of DNR Studio. And then it kind of progressed from there. The first historic piece that we did, I had grown up in Haydenville. And my dad had 16 millimeter movie film from back in the 1930s of Haydenville in the area. I ended up writing a song called Bricktown, Memories of Haydenville. And we used some of Dad's old footage and some new footage to do what became really our first historic video. And it kind of snowballed from there. We later got hooked up with Tom O'Grady, with Nyla Vollmer, Tom with the Athens, Southeast Ohio History Center in Athens, and Nyla with the Hocking County Historical Society. And we produced other videos with them, In Search of the Hocking Canal. And we're just now finishing Lord Dunmore's War and the Fort Gower Resolves that we worked with Tom. But this is a great honor. We greatly appreciate it, Ron.
Got to pull that down for me. Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody that's helped us along the way. I see a lot of familiar faces: Sam Jones, Steve Zarate, the people from the music store. You know, we've done a lot with a lot of people, and they've helped us a lot. The historical societies, Logan Historical Society, the History Center in Athens with Nyla Vollmer and Tom O'Grady. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your projects. We really appreciate it. We appreciate the honor. Thank you so much. Oh, and I'd like to thank my wife. She lets me run around and do all these things, and she did it for years, played music for 50 years, and she let me do it all. Thank you.
Okay, now we have the annual Sam Jones Model Citizen Award. So I'd like to bring Sam up here. And for those of you who may not have been here in the past, a number of years ago we created the Sam Jones Model Citizen Award. Sam Jones has been taking kids in off the streets in Gloucester and Trimble Township for 50 years. His dad started it. They've been taking them in off the streets to give them an alternative to whatever else they might get into, and he's been teaching them how to box and really be champions in life, and sometimes champions in the ring. And part of that, in doing that, Sam has done an annual Boxing for Books program where he puts gloves on little kids and older kids and bigger kids and elected officials, and they duke it out for a few minutes in the ring. Nothing serious. The minute we see the first person looks dazed or the first drop of blood, the towel goes in. And he's raised, last I heard, it was something like $750,000 for books for one of the poorest school districts in the state of Ohio. So, Sam Jones. And I think Sam would be the first to tell you that he doesn't get anything accomplished without his right arm, Ellen Jones, sitting over here at the table. So anyway, we give this award each year, and we've had some pretty remarkable people up here to receive this. And this year we have Grady Smith from Marietta, Washington County, and Grady's been involved in more things than I can keep track of, but some of the things I've heard of is helping save the old Harmer Railroad Bridge that crosses the Muskingum River. When I talked to Grady about this, he said, well, he didn't think he deserved anything. He was just, doing stuff like oiling the bridge and stuff like that. Imagine if we tried to save all this stuff by talking. And then somebody squeezes the oil can. And that's what really makes these things work. So he's a doer. He's also served more years than he probably can remember on the Marietta Tree Commission and a handful of other organizations and nonprofits in that area. I believe he's even crossed the Ohio River and gone down and to help folks in our neighboring state of West Virginia to help save the and operate the Cass Scenic Railroad down there. So I'm just going to let Grady tell you his story a little bit better. So, Grady.
it's very humbling to be up here in front of all you people, and you just wonder if you measure up to Sam Jones. But I want to promise you one thing: I'll neither sing nor dance. But I've been on the Meredith City Tree Commission for years, and unlike Terry Bradshaw, I didn't wake up when he was 7 years old and tell his dad when he got a football he was going to be a professional football player. The way I got to the City Tree Commission over a period of many years is kind of a zigzaggy course. The first thing I remember was going along with my mom, with my dad and 3 other Rotarians to plant trees on 3rd Street and Washington Street back in the very early 60s. I might have been 9 or 10 years old. But I do remember planting the trees. I don't remember any specific addresses, but the trees now are yay big. And next thing is we had a family friend by the name of Bill McKinney. His family owned the Meredith Times newspaper, and we would go out into the west end of the county to cut firewood on his acreage. And you know, what teenage boy wouldn't like pickup trucks and chainsaws? Go out there and cut firewood and deliver it and stack it in the barn. And fast forward a few years till I was in college, and going downtown one evening where I should have been at home. It was a terrible stormy night, rain, thunder, lightning, you know, a lot of wind. And going down Putnam Street by the Betts and Mills Club, the light turned yellow, and for some reason I punched it and went through the stoplight. And lo and behold, I looked in the rear view mirror and the stoplight had disappeared. So I turned around to see what the deal was, and the tree was laying across above the crosswalk where I'd have been if I'd have stopped at the light. So that was kind of an eye-opening moment there that, gee, that thing fell over and could have killed me. And fast forward a few more years till late 70s, and I wanted to go cut some more firewood on the McKinney property, so I called Bill, hey, can I borrow the truck and the saw? And he says, well, have you got anybody to go with you? And I said, nope. And he said, well, find somebody and call me back and you can have it. So I called this lady over here, said, hey, you want to go cut some firewood? And she worked for McKinney at the newspaper. And this was sort of our first date, and she thought that was a novel idea, so I went along and borrowed the truck and cut the wood and took it back to Bill's farm, and we're putting it in the barn, and I was handing the wood to Sue, and she was stacking it, and Bill came out, and he stuck his nose in the barn, and he goes, what are you doing here? So she's let me do all this stuff for years. And eventually, Mayor Matthews, 20-some years ago, gave me a letter and let me prune trees in the city park. And eventually, an opening came up on the tree commission, and here I am. And for 25 or so years, we've been charged with pruning trees, planting trees, responding to citizen complaints for whatever trees they've got in their front yard that they consider either unsightly or hazardous, or their sewer's plugged up or whatever. And if it weren't for all the guys and ladies on the tree commission, 3 of which are sitting over here at that table, I wouldn't have stayed around so long. And I think it was Ann Bonner, Tom's wife, that nominated me for this award here. And I feel very grateful. Thank you.
could you please help me welcome to the stage our special guest, John Kerry, Director of the Governor's Office of Appalachia.
Well, my number one goal was to introduce Matt, because he follows me, and every year I forget to introduce him. So if I start to leave, just hold your hand up. But I feel very humbled to be here, to hear all these great stories about, really from legends of our region. And on behalf of the Governor's Office of Appalachia, I want to congratulate each and every one of you, not only those that are speaking, but all the people that support you, all the volunteers, all the elbow grease, all of the work that you do is just so fantastic. It's a great story. This is one of my favorite events. It's all positive. You're telling your story, and this is one of the things that is really important. It's not only your project individually is important, but it's important as a whole because you're telling the story of Appalachia, the Appalachia of hope and resilience. Too often we let people from outside our region define Appalachia and Ohio, and it's usually a story of despair, hope. It's not a good story that the media comes in and tells about our region. But we're starting to tell our own story. You've been telling our own story with Ohio Heritage for 13 years, and we need to keep it up. We have so many great things happening, so many great people, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it. And I just want to congratulate, on behalf of the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, and Director Mahalik, each one of you for all of your great work. So now I'm going to introduce Matt Wiederhold from Ohio Heritage.
All right, well, on behalf of Ohio's Hill Country Heritage Area and Heritage Ohio, thank you so much for attending the luncheon today. I want to give a big thank you to our major sponsor, AEP Ohio. It's their generosity that allows us to put on this event. I see silent clapping, but yes, thank you. I also want to acknowledge Pat Henahan for her support. We hope that you'll join us for the 2025 luncheon, and I hope between now and spring, early summer of next year, you'll consider what, where, what's going on, people, places, things. We need nominations. Look at all these wonderful, lovely people we got to celebrate today. Help us do more of that, please. So please watch Heritage Ohio's website and Ohio's Hill Country's Heritage Area website. Thank you for attending today, and if I could please have all of our honorees make their way down to the tree for the requisite big photo. The rest of you, thank you all very much. Have a safe trip home, and happy holidays.